Five grown ass men don't always agree on the same thing all the time.
Sure.
So just being open to, other people's suggestions a lot more.
Especially living in an RV together for 2 weeks.
a lot more tolerant of people's body odors and things like that.
sometimes.
Yeah, that's inside RV joke. Curtis has the worst pair of smelling shoes I've ever smelled in my life.
Can't help it. Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out last week's episode. If you're one of those people, I hope you enjoyed it and thanks so much for coming back. But for those of you out there who are new to the show, welcome. Feel free to make yourselves at home. And as always, there's beer and soda in the fridge. Cheers, my friends. It's nice to have a drink with all of you.
As always.
Likewise.
As is tradition.
And we're not having to scream over metal bands playing.
Yeah.
Well, it's happening.
So, for those of you that haven't read the episode title today, returning to the show, my friends, the handsome, illustrious, legendary Stone Cold Killer. Make some noise for the internet.
What's up, dude?
Thank you.
Legendary even. Wow.
Very excited to have you all back. You got some new music that we're going to talk about. And, there's plenty of other things that we have to chat about.
Oh, yeah.
I will say that it's nice to have some brews with you. The last time we recorded, we did not drink. It was a sober podcast.
It was rough. I remember being thoroughly hungover for that one. So
Well, here we are having some beers. So we don't need to do this whole backstory thing. We've already touched on that. We don't need to do who you are. But I guess if people don't know, you're a rock and roll band from the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area and that.
you know what I mean?
So it's probably been like maybe a year and a half or so since you were on the show last time.
Yeah, it was like summer.
A little older, a little wiser,
Yeah.
growing hair in weird places.
Hell yeah. So what's been going on since then?
We've been trying to write some new material. We're trying to put out a full length sometime this year, and we've been doing a little GNR side hustle, a little tribute. So
Yeah.
that's been fun as well.
Hell yeah. Super cool. So you have the release coming out. You're doing a single release. Let's get this out of the way just off the top before this goes inevitably off the rails. February 15th at Cativo.
Yes.
Give me the deets.
Correct. It's the 15th Cativo downstairs, and originally the idea was it's Curtis's birthday.
Uh-huh.
Day. So we're gonna have a party, and then we're like, well, fuck it, let's record a single. We can swear, right? That's cool. Yeah. Okay, that's good. I don't know why. It just felt like so I'm talking in a microphone. It seems so like it's much more professional now. We're like,
Excellent.
so yeah, like normal showtime, 9:00 or whatever, and it's gonna be us, Limousine Beach, and Horace Mays, and we're like, so we just want to throw a birthday party basically for Curtis, and then we're like, well, hell, we're working on this a couple new tunes. Let's record them. So we did. Now one of them is we're gonna release called Program for Love and Destruction.
And we're trying to do something a little novel. Instead of giving out an actual physical copy of the single, we're going to just do download cards and some free swag for anyone in attendance. So you get a limited edition t-shirt if you come out to the show that day.
Including a t-shirt. We'll even dress you.
So, it is 2020, the year of our Lord or whatever. I don't fucking know. And
Somebody's Lord anyway.
and we're still rocking and rolling, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we probably touched a little bit on this when we originally talked about, just trying to be a rock and roll band these days.
Yeah.
And what's that like? I don't know. What's the past year and a half just been like playing shows and shit, just doing rock and roll?
I don't know. We definitely have gotten first of all, just as a band, getting tighter and better and more familiar with how you want to actually deliver your set to the audience. Goes a long way. And I think we've gotten a lot better at that, and people have kind of latched on to it. So we're seeing better attendance in shows, and more people like, when are you playing next? When are you playing next?
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least I don't know, that's not how you guys,
Yeah,
your
absolutely.
experience with it too, but
Trying to keep on top of the merch game too. New shirt
yeah.
designs and whatnot always keeps people engaged.
got to keep that merch hustle up.
I find that, you're a band that likes to have fun, and you're not ashamed to let people know that you like having fun.
Yeah.
But you still take yourselves seriously as musicians. And that's like, it could be a problem though. I've found, at least like, I feel like we've dealt with this in Greywalker, where it's like sometimes people that have never seen us before don't get it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
You
I
come
feel
off
like
as campy.
it's some,
kind
yeah,
of?
sure. We have fucking Joey Solak as our drummer. You know, speaking of Groundhog's Day, we basically have a groundhog for a fucking drummer. and you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, like, what's up with the goofy drummer?
It's-
Like, he could play his ass off.
Yeah,
and he's our best
exactly. Wouldn't
friend.
care what he-
the
yeah.
fuck do you know? Like,
He's an insanely good drummer. That's what's up with him. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and by the way, he's super entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And he's
So-
got
They were
leopard print
talking
drum
about it
set
and
too. I mean,
Yeah.
what the hell?
and I feel like
Win-win-win.
you know, there's a certain in the best way possible. There's a certain campiness to what Stone Cold Killer does. You know, it's just
Actually,
throwback, no bullshit rock and roll.
Yeah, I like to I like to think of it as tongue in cheek. You know,
Yeah.
it's like tongue in cheek humor, and that kind of like lightheartedness. You know, I mean, that's just like for me personally, it's just kind of my personality.
But with wit too. Like I
Oh,
will
yeah.
say, you know, almost all of our songs are a double entendre in some way or another. But I think they're cleverly delivered.
Right,
So
exactly.
Yeah.
It's hard to walk that line though, because you know it could be very easy to come off as campy and you know be the next Steel Panther, which is definitely not what we're trying to do. But
Yeah, it's definitely not that extreme. Like, you know, but I also feel like it seems that there's this thing where there's a demographic of people that have just forgotten how to have fun.
Yeah,
agreed 1,000%.
And it's like, if you're going out to have a night of entertainment,
yep.
why reject the entertainment?
Dude, that is a solid ass point.
Yeah.
Why in the fuck are you here then?
Yeah.
If you don't like it, you know.
I mean, I guess,
why did
you
leave?
know, not everybody I mean, there are people like watching sad movies, and I guess people like sad music and things like that. But if you're going to a fucking rock and roll show,
yeah.
what, you know,
Let
like,
loose, cut loose a little bit.
that's the point.
Yeah,
That's the fucking point. So, with this new single that you're dropping, let's talk a bit just about the single. What's it called? What's the vibe like?
It's programmed for Love and Destruction. I guess vibe-wise, it's probably pushing a little more into the metal side because we kind of straddle that fence to begin with. A little rock, a little bit metal.
Get a little bit of
plenty of-
priestiness to it, like a
Yeah.
really priesty vibe, I think.
Yeah,
Just the
plenty
main
of
riff.
plenty of guitar harmonies that you've come to know, expect, and
I-
love from Stone Cold Killer.
I listened to the song earlier because Curtis sent it to me.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, oh, this is a little bit more heavy.
Yeah.
But it's funny because like the guitar riffing on it, like you could have easily just put like a 4 on the floor drum beat behind it and it would just sound like a dancey rock song. But the rhythm is a little bit busier
Yeah.
on the track, so it does have more of like a metal edge. There's a lot of like footwork with like the kick that's kind of like playing with the guitar riff and stuff, which was interesting to hear you do. It was like a lot more like extreme than I'm used to hearing
Yeah.
from y'all.
Thank you.
Did you happen
mean-
to notice the overdubs by any chance in the breakdown?
Which overdubs?
The Vincent Price type voice.
Yeah, we put.
Oh,
So there's a backstory behind that. The only reason I bring it up,
Okay.
how this song developed was Curtis was sitting around watching Comet Network on local Pittsburgh TV, and this
On a hazy Saturday.
this really cheesy Vincent Price movie came on called Dr. Goldfoot and the Girl Bombs.
I
And it's-
really suggest you look it up. It's
Yeah, you should.
hilarious.
and the whole principle, it's pretty much Austin Powers before Austin Powers.
time.
It's
He's
not
big
supposed
time.
to be funny, I don't think.
Okay.
but it's
I'm
hilarious.
not
It's like
sure
that
either.
that type of funny.
but he's an evil scientist that creates girl robots that strategically take out army generals across the country. So, anyways, not to get tangented, but the whole premise is he programs these robots for love and destruction, and that's one of the actual quotes
I heard that. and
that we
it was-
used
That's
in the
a song
song.
title right there.
It was instant. Like I literally distinctly remember, like I jumped off my couch. It was like grabbed my phone, and I was like, I swear, my hands must have been like shaking because I'm like, oh my god, what a brilliant title! Like, is that not a brilliant song title?
How is that not
album,
already a
something?
song now? Already, yeah.
So
yeah, just they came. It started with that one little concept, and it just kind of blossomed
And
from
just
there.
one, like I think you kind of were just
had
playing with that
rehearsal
riff
with-
that one day, and
yeah,
we were
rehearsal.
You were there. We were there ahead of everybody, and I just sat at the drums and was just kind of fooling around. And you started playing it, and I just started playing a beat, and then you went into the dun-dun. There's a program, I remember, like, and I just started singing that. There's a program, and I was like, all right, there it is. There's the hook.
Yeah,
Let's
got
write
it.
the rest of this song. And that's how it came to be. And now, February 15th, everyone will be free to join.
We can
in the
celebrate
joy.
it together.
Yes.
So thanks, Vincent Price, and
For
everybody
everything.
in the band being late, except for us apparently.
So, in terms of rehearsals and things like that, how often do you adults find time to get together and rehearse?
Oh man.
I mean, we
Weekly.
weekly, at least once a week. If we have a particularly big gig, or say we have like I said, that Yins and Roses side hustle we're doing, like we'll try to squeeze a couple days a week in, depending. It's
Yeah.
hard to get 5 grown ass men in a room together.
And our drummer has a kid too, so that obviously
Yeah. Hey Pat.
that has it.
Hey Pat.
What's up,
He is not
Wagon?
here. 2 members not featured. BT Dubs. And so yeah, it becomes a little more difficult. But we usually at least once a week. If you don't, man, you forget everything. Sure, like it's so weird. I mean, if the songs we played a bazillion times and Turn Up for Love and stuff like that, it's pretty much automatic. And there's some GNR covers that we can just do no problem.
But the new stuff, keeping the new stuff fresh and everything,
Exactly.
nothing's really released yet, so it's just we got to keep getting that muscle memory
Right? Yeah.
programmed.
If you want to present it to the world, you don't want it to sound like garbage.
Yeah.
So
There's just something that I like about the ritual of a band rehearsal and just getting together and getting to see everybody, like what the fuck's going on, and just getting to actually like play stuff loud
Yeah.
and not like, like in the house all quiet or with
just playing,
headphones.
strumming an acoustic.
Yeah,
Instead,
it's not the same. Just actually getting to let that stuff out. Do you have like a space you rehearse at, or is it out of someone's house?
It's at my house.
At your place, huh? Yeah.
It's the best. I love it.
It's the most
Having
cost
all-
effective. That's
Having
for
all
sure.
my stuff there, and I don't have to go anywhere. Everybody comes to me. It's great. Plus, I kind of like live in the middle of like everybody kind of. It's sort of like the hub, the point. Everybody kind of radiates.
The neighbors are cool.
Central location. Oh yeah. Well, the one house, nobody lives there, and the next then I have an empty lot and then a street next to me at there. It's pretty fucking ideal, honestly.
I will say this. It's like it's super tight, like, getting older, playing in bands with your friends, playing shows. But there's like something that's undeniably kind of humiliating about being in your like mid to late 30s and still having to like worry about the neighbors being mad about your stupid fucking band. Like it makes me feel young, which I guess is great, but it's also like we're really still fucking doing this.
Yeah.
Old man Johnson called the cops again.
At
on
one
us.
point, when you guys practiced at
Joey's house.
no, it was Colts, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So-
it was
and then we practiced at Pete's house, which he used. It's another connection to Penn Brewery. He used to work for Penn Brewery. Party Pete Visinski, what up? And then Eddie Spaghetti had a few houses down from there, had a punk band. So there'd be some nights there'd be 3 band practices happening on this one block in Mount Oliver.
Oh yeah, on Kohler Street.
yeah.
Kohlers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout outs to Kohler Street.
Yeah, that was funny. Like it was one block. There's like maybe 15 houses on it,
Uh-huh.
and there were 3 bands that practiced on that street.
Three loud volume bands.
3
Well, I'll tell you this.
high-powered rock.
I'll tell you this. There were some families on Kohler whose volume would rival even the loudest of
Yeah.
bands. There are some rowdy motherfuckers on that street.
Yeah, there was a lot of outdoor vocalization happening. No doubt.
Yeah, it was my girlfriend used to live in Mount Olive Garden, and her and her friend called it Mount Olive Garden, unlimited soups and stabbings.
Dude, put that in the lexicon. Mark it down. Put that in the
Yeah,
lexicon. That's
good.
wonderful.
And Colt is back up in that area, like not too,
nice.
like maybe only 5 minutes from Kohler,
Okay.
but like a little further back. But yeah, so we still drive. I
Deeper
still
in.
go past Kohler all the time.
Yeah,
It's-
Yeah.
it was like the very first block of Mount Oliver.
Yeah.
If you crossed Arlington Avenue, you were in Pittsburgh again. Like you were in the slopes.
Uh-huh.
But then that side Arlington Avenue was Mount Oliver.
Where's your spot at now that you're practicing?
I live in Arlington, so just
Oh,
like
okay.
a little bit down.
Okay, yeah. So you're probably pretty
up
close to Colt then still, because he's in that Arlington.
We drive
area.
past Kohler on the way to Nate's house.
Yeah.
At least I
Yeah.
do. On the way
Okay.
to Nate's house for practice. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Nostalgic.
Well, I mean, you got like it'd be great if we could live in like Southside or Bloomfield or Lawrenceville or something, but like to live there and practice there, unless you're spending a shitload of money, it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
So I was living in the flats forever in Southside, and I just kind of got tired of just being crammed. Like I just wanted move somewhere there's a little more space, just for this exact reason. So I found this house, and it is dope, but it's it's like kind of near the projects.
Sure. Yeah.
It's a nice
dig it,
yard,
though, man.
You
It's
can,
awesome,
You can
though.
get a van stuck.
Yeah, you can totally get a van stuck in the yard. Oh my god, that was like the worst day.
That was a
we
bad
rented
day.
a van, so the basement has like a man door, so we're loading out our equipment to go on this gig in Maryland's. So we rented a
Maryland's and that.
Maryland's. Did I
plural.
say Maryland's?
Maryland's.
For real? Yo, we was in Maryland's and that. So we're like loading up, but it's in the yard, and this thing has bald ass tires, and we couldn't get it moving, and it's really long, and to get out of the yard, there's like this hump, and it just wouldn't go over this hump. And just like trenching out my yard, like, oh god, we couldn't get it out. And then finally, some dude who was working on a roof next door is like, "You guys need some help?" He climbs down off the roof, gets in his like Ford F-150 or whatever. Hooks it up, like grabs like a strap or something out of the bed of his truck and like hooks it up to the bumper, and yanks.
He drove like a 4x4 truck up over like the sidewalk,
right
but
up into
then
my yard.
the yard from the sidewalk up to where the house sits is probably like what, 3.5 feet
Yeah.
or something. And dude just like took his truck right up and scalped like the edge of the hill. But we loaded up and we got to the show and everything was fine. So
Hell yeah.
at the time, Nate was
And
losing his mind.
and
we
Halsey had
could
the
all kind
right
of see it was
gig.
going to be
But
fun
we
later.
filled that brandy glass full of brown M&Ms.
Yeah.
I managed
made it
to
to
subdue the
Maryland.
tiger with a can of mace, but the store owner and his son was a different story
story
altogether.
And we made it to Maryland's and back.
Yeah. It's funny. Sometimes those experiences, those Kodak moments,
Yeah.
if you will, are like all we really get out of still playing in bands. It's almost like the best thing of the weekend happened before we even
Yeah,
fucking
right.
left.
that particular
You're
show, that
absolutely right.
literally was the
Yeah.
best moment, actually, fortunately.
Well, that's actually a good segue into, playing out of town. I guess, it's one thing, we're a working class city and that there's still some hunger for rock and roll, I imagine. We got a lot of good divey type of bars where you can bring your guitars and smoke your cigarettes and play some rock and roll still.
Right.
But what's life out of Pittsburgh been like for Stone Cold Killer recently?
Oh,
You been
man.
playing some gigs?
I don't know. When was the last? That might have been our last out of town gig. That
Maryland.
one. Yeah.
Jurgles, well, sort of out of town, I guess. Is
Technically.
Jurgles out of town?
I don't know. I think
Is Warrendale considered out of town?
Jurgles is town.
feels like a road gig.
We didn't cross a bridge, so who knows?
If you can go to sleep in your own bed the same night of the show, it was
fair
not
enough.
out of
That's-
town.
You know what? That's a really good assessment.
It
of
feels
out of
like
town. That's a good one.
Yeah.
No, it's been somewhat limited. I mean, you definitely try to. We're trying not to oversaturate Pittsburgh shows, as you know. The more shows you play, the less likely people are to come to them. So.
Oh yeah.
But we're trying to mix it up a little bit instead of doing straight SCK. We've been doing Yins and Roses in town a little bit everywhere. I think we played Backbone Tavern in West Virginia. That was another.
No, that was the Maryland's
Oh,
gig.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Maryland.
now only say Maryland's. That gig was in Maryland's. Yeah. Yeah. Backbone. The Rim is what you're thinking.
Oh,
of
the
in
Rim,
West
that's right.
Virginia.
Oh, that was a great place.
There's a venue called The Rim
yeah,
in West
you've
Virginia.
never been there.
It's not.
No.
It's not a venue as much as it's just a guy's basement.
Okay.
But it's
That's like-
awesome.
but he turned it into a venue. And
yeah, it's got
really
like
cool.
a better PA than like most.
he's brought pretty
Yeah, he's
legit
brought
acts
some.
there
Like
too.
the Biters have played there. Like he's
Oh, cool.
got some of their set lists and stuff
Yeah.
up. And
Yeah, he's
him
really
and
into it.
It's Brad Smith is his name. He's like real into music. Whole family is great. They treated us very well when we went there too. So if anybody ever gets an invitation to play at the Rim, I cannot encourage enough. Like
Yeah.
go.
That rules.
Like, yeah, we walked in, like they fed us. They're like, go up in the garage, right? And we walk in, and I swear it looked like a Pittsburgh wedding.
Yeah.
Like there was everything.
There was
under
a
the sun.
cookie
There was a
table.
cookie table. There was a damn cookie table at a gig. But it was awesome. Like they fed us. They gave us plenty of booze to drink. We had a great show, and we stayed there, and we came home the next day, and it was awesome.
Slept on a couch.
Slept on the couch. Took a photo that I think my BAC was probably almost as high as my age at the time when I took that photo.
Uh-huh.
So, but yeah, great little venue to get out of town to.
So yeah, that's one of our goals actually, is to do more out of town gigs this year, because we've been making excuses not to get out, but it's necessary.
This whole like past year, we did so much working on that. The Rex gig,
Yeah, the legendary album series.
the Guns N' Roses tribute, like that was so time consuming that hardly.
Yeah, it turns out Guns N' Roses songs are fucking hard to play. So it takes
super hard.
I mean, we worked on that for 6 months before we went into it.
yeah.
Like
5.
that ate up a lot of our time.
Yeah, we started rehearsing
February.
like this time last year to have that set list ready for the end of July. So
It's amazing. 2.5 hours of GNR took up 5 months.
Yeah. Yeah, the man hours of you like, like how much time you guys had to spend like learning those solos.
It was a labor of love.
It was.
But now you know them. That's
yeah,
awesome.
exactly. Well, but you also get like something extra out of that. I think like anybody that learns a cover, there's somebody they really like and they're going to play it live. Like you end up kind of having this little learning process where you get an insight into like somebody you really like their guitar playing, or if you're a drummer, it's like you listen to those drums, and so you kind of get this new appreciation or understanding of what they're doing.
Sure.
That was like a master class though, because I mean, I got that cassette tape when I was like 8. How did you let that happen, Mom, by the way? How did you let me get Appetite for Destruction at 8? I'm thankful, but I still don't understand. But
Before
Look
parental
what you
advisories.
created.
but it was seriously, it was like a master class, not only in just like doing Slash's guitar stuff, which is utterly amazing, but the way that they sync everything together and learning Izzy's rhythm.
Oh, man, Izzy's
It was a real like. I mean, I felt like I took like a an advanced university like learning class
Sure.
to learn this extra guitar. So it ended up being really awesome.
Yeah.
What we took out of it, I
And
feel like that carried over to
The fringe benefits are awesome too, because I mean we've been playing nothing but GNR for the last 6 or 8 months, so we can't help but have GNR infused into kind of the new stuff we're writing as well. It just kind of emanates from.
There was
our
a
style.
point where I was listening to when we were playing back in the studio, like a part the cowbell groove part came on Program for Love and Destruction, and I was like, it just like whoa, it just sounded like I can't remember what specific.
Think
Guns
About
N'
You.
Roses
Yeah,
song.
it's definitely Think About You, Bridge.
And I was just like, oh shit, and it like clicked. I'm like, no, this is our song. Oh, cool.
There's a really cool thing with, learning stuff that other people have done. It's like equivalent to like cooking a recipe out of a book. Like, maybe you use some different ingredients and things that you wouldn't have used before,
Yep.
and you learn how to incorporate them in like new yet familiar ways. And
Yeah.
then the next time you go to make your own food without a recipe or write your own song, you have this whole new weird skill set and like way of thinking about approaching your guitar playing or your drumming or your vocals a little differently.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah. I feel like I'm like 10 times better singer now because of that than I was when I started. Just forcing myself to be like, okay, you have to figure out how to hit these notes. One way or another, it's got to happen. So now I have a whole other like way of attacking notes and getting to them that I never even contemplated before because I wasn't forced to,
Yeah.
So
I think that, it's really easy, especially, as you get older, as we all sit here in age, land of the dinosaurs over here.
I'll be 40. That the show's actually my 40th birthday. So
Yeah.
we didn't
I
mention
didn't want to
that
write.
yet.
I didn't want to say
It's
the
okay.
exact
It's
number.
okay. Like, I still get carded at Rite Aid, obviously. But
What, buying Pepto-Bismol?
Yes.
Like, what you fucking-
it's actually aspirin for my bad back. Let's not split hairs here. Yeah.
So, but yeah, as we get a little bit older, it's a lot easier now to kind of get comfortable and think like, oh, I know all there is to know, or you get comfy in just your ways.
Yeah.
And to like push yourself to try different techniques on guitar or push yourself to get out of town and play different shows. I find that the thing that I struggle with the most in touring with bands now as I get older is just like my my reality check is so much more aggressive nowadays than it was when I was like 20. I don't really have that like, fuck it, whatever happens, happens. I'm like, no, if I'm taking this much time off work and we're paying this much to get there, like, and we're not getting the, like there's all these things where it's like
the cost benefit analysis. You're always running it.
Your bullshit level tolerance is so much.
Yeah, it's a lot less reasonable for me to go to, fucking like Valparaiso, Indiana to play in front of fucking, 10 people next to a wrestling ring. Then very specific. I'm talking about something very specific.
That's what you don't say.
Versus like, just saying like, okay, it's cool to have that offer in Indiana, but is it actually worth it? Mm-hmm. It's a lot. Like my willingness to just say, fuck it and go for it is so much smaller these days. It's like,
you definitely have to look to, is the juice worth the squeeze, Even
locally, like there's all these things where like, we'll be talking about like, oh, we should do this thing. And like, oh, the band can play and stuff like that. And it's like, can't we just like, why don't we just have a cookout? Like, why don't we just get everybody to go somewhere for your birthday? Why do we have to fucking play? Not saying anything against your show, but you know what I mean? Like, that's
great strategy. Let's go with that.
It's the type of thing where it's just like, do we need to load our gear up to do all? It's like, why are we playing this show? Because we all want to hang out together or because we actually want to play the show? We just want to hang out. Okay, leave the fucking gear at home. Let's go hang out.
But then you don't get to play a show.
Yeah, but sometimes it doesn't fucking matter.
No, sometimes you don't need to, but sometimes it's cool to play a show though too.
But
like most of the time,
as we sit here and rot, grow older, our time's a lot more. Our time's a lot more precious. So like you have a lot more or a lot less propensity to want to spend that time doing bullshit stuff that you wouldn't normally do. You make better decisions as you get older, I'd like to think. But.
Yeah, I think that there's this weird lull, and maybe you've seen this in your personal experiences, where I felt like it was really easy for me to play shows, from the time that I was like, in my late teens to like 22 or 23. Really easy to get gigs. There's a lot of hungry people wanting to play shows. And then the time between like 24 and 30 just felt like a dead zone unless I wanted to play shows with like old dudes or play shows with babies.
Yeah.
But now I'm like at a point where like finally like I'm in my early mid 30s and there's other people in my age that are also hungry to play shows again. So now I can like play shows and people come out. Like there's this weird like 7-8 years of everybody being too responsible to play shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, don't hit my TV.
Sorry. Sorry, but
I'm joking.
I also at that time, like I mean, at least for me personally, like I wasn't that good yet. So even like the shows we did play, sometimes like they're it's never like counterproductive. And you're at that stage, like you just, even if it's just like, all right, what's the best way to carry my gear around? Like, how do I get in and out of this particular venue? You're like learning those dumb little things. You're not even thinking that you're learning.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But you are. So I'm not saying don't play shows if you're a young band.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that either at all. I was just talking about like, it's interesting now because now I feel like there's a lot more of like a positive reason to play a show. I feel like I can book a gig and like it's not that complicated to get people to come out.
Yeah, and you kind of figure it's kind of its own art form as well. Getting promoting and coaxing people to come to the show, and honestly, it's not just like the way it's not just the songs you play, but it's. Like you're playing you want to play a set. You can play like, oh, you're having if the band sounded tight or you played a tight set are two totally different things, in my opinion. If you played a tight set, it's like it just flows all together. And if there is any downtime, there's a reason for it. Like, we have there's always a guitar change. Half of our songs are in.
You're talking about some David Copperfield.
Yeah. So I've got to do something over here while they tune their guitars or change their guitar. And that's I pull some birds out of my hats or whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, just perfecting our craft. We also, until we found our voice and, people started realizing we had our own sound, we also had to fight the fight of, oh shit, our demographic is like 40 to 55-year-old dudes that want to hear like hair metal, you know. So
Yeah.
it's not that way anymore, but it's still kind of that way. I mean, rock out dudes that come to our show, 40, 55-year-old hair metal.
We
dudes,
all turn
but-
into 21-year-old hot girls at the bar because they're strange men and want to buy us booze at the end of a show. You know.
But yeah, no, it's easier to play shows now too because we've perfected our craft and kind of people understand that we have our own sound now. So it's kind of we have a little bit more of a broader audience than we used to, and when we were 25, 30.
Yeah, I think that I really like the point that Nate had brought up about giving people a show. Basically, is like what you're saying.
Yeah.
I feel like there are a lot that it's a heavy responsibility to carry. Being in a band, promoting a show and getting people to come out. Like this is like for you, like whatever, it's another show. But for a lot of people, it's like it's their one night out a week.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's like you're not inviting them to like pay $10 to get into a place and watch a band practice. Like you want to give them a fucking show.
Exactly.
And I think that that's something that a lot of people should pay more attention to. And I talk about it a lot on the podcast, just like bands being less selfish and thinking more about the fact that, the show
an audience.
this isn't for you.
Yeah.
Like you are an employee of the fan
Yep.
tonight. Like, and you need to
that's
do
a
your
good way
fucking
to-
job.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it. I never thought about it like that.
Well, to paraphrase Lemmy, what he says is like people don't want to pay to see a dork on stage. They want to pay to see a space alien.
Yeah, they don't want
Yeah.
to see their neighbor. I think is
Yeah.
actually like
they want to pay to see a
quotes.
space alien, and it's exactly right.
But
Give
it's,
them a
it's
show.
I think a lot of it too is like picking and choosing your spots instead of just playing like every show offer you get.
Oh yeah.
Like one of the things, like having this single release and putting it on my birthday, like we can make it an event. And so I think like pulling back and being a little more selective about your gigs, but making it an event, I think it is a much easier way to promote it. And especially like you said, because you have people who are your friends who they got kids or responsibilities and they can only make it out like once in a while. If you promote it early enough and you give them an incentive to come out, it's an easy way for people to come out and to like really get excited about a fun show,
yeah.
and you can put more effort into it too.
You just have to bombard them on the internet nonstop for about a month
Yeah.
at a time.
Sure. It's
You're not wrong.
sure. I mean, it's like you just gotta like, you play enough shows. You know your friends that come out to shows, and your friends that come out to shows and bring friends. So you just gotta make sure that those people are coming, and then it'll
Then
kind
they
of
tell two
it'll-
friends.
Yeah,
They tell two friends.
it'll fit.
What is that like? That's like
As
the
a
fifth or
pyramid
sixth
scheme?
Wayne's World reference so far.
I never did anything
Guilty.
crazy before that night. Why is it when you kill a man during war, it's considered heroic? But if it's in the heat of passion, they call it murder.
Little Ed O'Neill, nice.
Yeah.
That was a deep pull. on
That
that
was a real deep pull.
So here's a
All right,
question.
camera with me only.
Here's a question. There's been a lot of great film in our days where, there have been, bands are in films. Like you have, the good old Cannibal Corpse and Ace Ventura.
Right.
Moments like that. If Stone Cold Killer could time travel and perform in any movie, what movie would Stone Cold Killer
Is it
time
too
travel
late to
to?
say Dr. Goldfoot?
Yeah, I think at this point, that would probably be perfect. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I mean, oh damn, I don't know. Are you asking that? Like, what do you think? Like, what do we think we would fit into?
No, just what would you want to do? I don't give a shit if you fit in or not.
Okay. Well,
Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
Spinal Tap somehow.
Die Hard. I don't know.
Oh my God. How great
Just
would that be? Just have Die Hard.
the top of the building's exploding. We're just shredding. Yeah.
Sure. Or an easier question, like if you could have a song in any movie. Like if you could write the theme song for any action star, living or dead.
Oh, Nate can answer that one right away. Sylvester Stallone, right?
So why?
Because I mean, based on your love for Rambo.
Oh, well, Rambo's awesome. Yeah, no doubt. I don't know.
Yeah, we could definitely write a song for Rambo.
I mean,
It's over,
there's-
Johnny. It's over.
What's that bit? Get to the chopper. You ever hear that bit?
Austrian Death Machine.
Austrian Death Machine, yeah, the dude from As I Lay Dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess Sly Stallone. Maybe I don't know. I don't really. Never thought about that question before. That's wild. I don't know.
I think we should just kick Huey Lewis in the news off of Back to the Future. I think that's what we really.
That's
should've
my
done.
all-time favorite movie.
That's what we should have done.
But I don't know. We don't write a lot of time travel themed songs, so
I've had this.
Oh, dude, Tombstone, Gunslinger.
Yeah, we should have done Tombstone. Gunslinger.
Tombstone.
That's a
There
good
you go.
point.
I had this idea for a show. I think I may have talked about it on an episode recently. I can't remember. All these conversations are bleeding together, but I'll talk about it with you. All right. So, like, I had this idea for a show where, there's a lot of things where you get bands to like score. Like they'll have like bands like do a score for a movie and then play the movie and like the band plays.
Eagles of Death Metal just did that for the Super Troopers too, right? Pretty sure. I didn't see it, but that's what I heard. Yeah, they scored the movie for it.
I was thinking like, how sick would it be if you could get a bunch of rock bands to do it for a movie, but instead of like scoring the movie itself, like you pick something like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure that has like a crazy soundtrack, and you get
That'd be
all these bands to learn a song, and then like you just have like a set backline, but you play Bill and Ted, and like when the songs play in the movie, the bands play.
Like Beavis and Butthead do America.
Yeah.
I think they tried this. It was called Last Action Hero, and it didn't do very well in the theaters, as far as
really?
I recall.
I never saw it, yeah.
Actually, that is the greatest movie soundtrack, with the movie being absolutely god awful. But the soundtrack to I swear to God, soundtrack to Last Action Hero is amazing. AC/DC's on it, and like they got
And
a
Guns N'
really
Roses.
good too. Yeah, Guns N' Roses is on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but isn't that crappy version of
It's some weird song.
Sympathy for the Devil?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's like the worst cover they ever did. I even turn it like every time. Like that's the saddest thing ever. I love Guns N' Roses, and every
And
time
it's
I'll
on
hear
the
that,
greatest
I'm like,
hits, that like silver one.
it's not the
That
greatest.
is not a greatest
It's
hit.
not. That was definitely an Axl.
tell me you're gonna leave-
100%. That was Axl.
Yeah, you're gonna leave like Dust and Bones off of it.
I could tell. They probably had to pay
good songs.
so much for those royalties, and they're trying to make the money
Yeah.
off those royalties.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, if we put it on this, we can.
That's a really good point. That's the business.
That's the
That'll get you.
It'll put a lot of bills in your pocket.
Music is art, but a band is a business. So I guess that's basically how it works out.
how does I don't know if we talked about this the last time I had you on the show. So if I did, please remind me.
Well,
But how does
we remember?
how does a group of upstanding citizens such as Stone Cold Killer, how do you balance business and party of being in a band? How do you
We're still trying to find that balance. I mean, we're incorporating spreadsheets these days. That's definitely a big
Okay.
part of it. I mean, just tracking your finances, making sure what comes in is more than what goes out, that kind of a thing. But at the same time, still trying to have fun and not penny pinch.
Yeah, but like when you play a show or something like that, or even just a rehearsal, eventually there comes a point where there's been too much alcohol to be productive any longer. So you got to do all that important shit before.
Diminishing returns,
Oh
diminishing
yeah,
returns.
exactly. So you got to pay the door guy and the sound guy and all this stuff, and then once the merch is all packed up. All right, let's really start slamming the beers. That's usually how car's loaded up. Now I can get drunk. All right.
Establishing a priorities list, I guess.
Yeah.
What it boils down to. We finally got good at doing
Well,
that.
like especially since we started rehearsing at my house, I have like a big kitchen table like this, like a high top table. Kind of all just like sit or stand
It's
around.
the war room.
Yeah, it is. It has the chalk.
There's
the
a
wall,
chalkboard. I was going to say.
The wall
that's
has
the
that like
best.
chalkboard paint on it behind it, like framed out chalkboard on it. So we're like, oh, it's like the boardroom.
It's a lot of fun doing all that stuff, being, at least just like having something to do that's productive, even if on the surface it's like, okay, well, this is our silly little rock and roll band. It's like, well, we're still using our adult skills, some of this math that we learned in grade school, right? We have our spreadsheets, and we're doing this responsibly. It's not all yucks and beers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish they need to make that remake that meme about like what society thinks I do, what my friends think I do, and at the end it's like what I'm actually doing. It's just me doing spreadsheets.
And just practicing on an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And you're living
With the
room
metronome, and
6
it's the
hours a
most
day.
boring thing.
And then
Oh,
there's-
you must have
then
so
there's
much fun. It's like me
45
having
minutes
fun.
of fun at a show for you practicing scales for 3 or 4 hours a day.
That's pretty much what it boils down to, man. But it's all worth it. I mean, you go up there and, you know, I'm sure you know all about this. I mean, having chemistry with the people that you go on stage with, and you look around like during a show, and it's just like, to some degree, people pay to watch us practice. And like you said earlier, like we're employees for people, but people pay to essentially watch us practice when we're on stage. But
Yeah,
you know,
honestly, I
love
do the
playing with
same
these
shit
guys.
on stage a lot of times at practice.
It's
I'm
true.
still-
I don't how we have any light bulbs left in that.
It's like it's
I almost knock myself out on this I-beam like 3 times a night.
I mean, it's like the equivalent of like Lil Jimmy's violin recital, except your friends are paying to come.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're still trying. This is cute.
Yeah. Sad but true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
But it's, I mean, you feel like you, personally, all of you, do you feel like you have evolved as people as a result of being in a band over the years?
For sure. For sure. Uh-huh.
I'm a lot more tolerant. I mean, no offense to the dude. You know, 5 grown ass men don't always agree on the same
Yeah.
thing all the time.
Sure.
So just being open to, you know, other people's suggestions a lot more.
Especially living in an RV together for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
a lot more tolerant of people's body odors
body
and
odors
things like that.
sometimes.
Yeah, that's inside RV joke. Curtis has the worst pair of smelling shoes I've ever smelled in my life.
Can't help it. It's just what it is.
First-
Thanks again, Mom. Thanks again, Mom.
First stop was the nearest Walmart to get a new pair
Yeah,
of
but we
shoes.
found that sweet Iron Maiden hat. It was
We did,
$5.
that camo Iron Maiden hat.
Camo Iron Maiden hat for $5 in a Chicago Walmart. So score one for stinky shoes.
First time.
I've seen you wear that hat.
I know. I have no idea where I'm sure I lost it somewhere. God knows.
It was a
whose-
$5 hat.
Whose house?
As
or
cool as it
what
was, it was
house
like,
or-
eh.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, that goes back again to those Kodak moments being like
Yeah.
the fun memories of tour. It wasn't how many times we crushed it on stage. It was Curtis's stinky feet and
Or me
us
wearing a
passing out
Hulkamania shirt in the corner when I was in the turnbuckle.
Just like a bottle of vodka.
It was the lamest after party I've ever been to in my entire life. And I left with me and Nate went back to the RV, and it was just one of those nights when you're on tour and you're tired. And I was like, Crown Rosé will help me fall asleep if I drink enough of it. And it did. Everybody else partied, but there's a sweet picture of me wearing Penguins pajamas and a Hulkamania shirt in the corner of an RV.
And then we woke up. Well, that was in Harrisburg, right? And we
Yeah, that
woke
was
up-
in Harrisburg. Oh my
we
God, that
woke
was the
up
worst smelling
still-
RV ever.
Still parked on the street out in front of the venue, not in like a parking lot anywhere. On Easter Sunday, with 7 people sleeping in this RV. I woke up, I had to pee so bad. It was like 7 a.m. The only place that was open was like 3 blocks away. It was like some random convenience store. Like I said, it was Easter, so like, I had to go this all down and it was they didn't have a bathroom, so I had to walk through the park down by like the Susquehanna River.
Yes,
Or-
that's exactly.
Like,
I'm
I
pretty
saw
sure that's what it
porta
is.
potty another like 3 blocks down, so I had to go piss in a porta potty because
cool story, Nate.
I don't know. It felt like it was going somewhere, and then it didn't. Sorry. Yeah.
So,
You need the Price is Right loser horn on there.
okay. That's a good
I'll just
suggestion.
do it for you.
That's a good suggestion. I appreciate that. So, you know, with all of the shows that you've played over the years in Pittsburgh and outside of Pittsburgh, one thing I wanted to talk about was the perils of under-equipped venues. Because I feel like there's a thing, you know, with Stone Cold Killer. Like, you know, you're a rock band, no bullshit, no frills, but there's like this kind of like larger than life thing that I think that needs to happen in order for like I don't want to call it a gimmick, but like we'll just say for lack of a better word, the gimmick of Stone Cold Killer to sell this like larger than life, in your face, just kind of like ego rock and roll.
We want
Like,
to feel like the Whiskey Go-Goers, you know?
Yes, small stages are a nemesis.
it's
though.
like, you know, like the higher the notes, the higher the stage, the brighter the lights need to be, in a way, right?
Yeah.
Is that a Michael J. Fox movie?
So my point that I'm trying to get to is like, you know, do you feel that like if you're playing a venue that maybe just like if it's like a little bit like too dingy or like too punk, do you feel like, oh fuck, like we're not going to translate properly here? Or do you just roll with
it's
it?
just it's a different kind of energy in that case.
Well, there's some constraints. Like, for instance, when you play Gooskies, I fucking love Gooskies, but that stage is really small, and fitting all 5 of us on one stage and having Nate have any room to move whatsoever is really hard.
And also just have anywhere to plug in.
Yeah. Power supply is a big setback these days, too, it seems like.
Yeah.
Amply equipped stages with power. But, yeah, I mean, like Nate said, you know, we'll still put on the same kind of show. We'll just have to scale it back depending on the venue.
But if you're playing somewhere like, you know, like the Rex or Smalls or something that has like lights and somebody running lights, oh my God, that makes such a huge difference. It just instantly makes it like badass and like larger than life kind of look.
Having
And you
monitors.
feel it, yeah.
Having monitors where you could actually hear what's going on stage instead of just kind of.
And a real
hearing.
sound check. And so,
Yeah, that does make big differences. You're a lot more confident. It's easier to put on a good show.
Yeah, I feel like there's just like maybe I think too much and I overanalyze bullshit, but I feel like there's just like, how do some certain bands like that are just starting out, because it's easy for like, say like you're a metal band or you're a punk band or whatever, like you could play at Gooskies and that works. But like say like you want to be the next like Imagine Dragons. How do you start playing shows where like the whole premise of your band is this like larger than life stadium sound?
yeah.
Like you can't like take a band that makes that style of music and put it at like Howlers.
Yeah, you can't
or
watch, I was just gonna say, you can't watch Scorpions at Howlers. Like,
Yeah.
that's got to be in an arena.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's like, but like
Rock and roll.
but it's like every band starts somewhere.
Yeah.
So when I see like modern bands now, like new bands now that are like blowing up, it's just like, how did you even start?
Yeah.
Where were you playing?
Yeah. And they're always from like some random town in like Iowa or something.
Yeah.
You know, like, wow.
Or just social media anymore. Shit, man. I mean, you even have to be a good live musician to have a following these days. And that's something we still struggle with, is just getting our social media presence
that's
where
Twitter,
it needs to
YouTube.
be.
I think it's really hard. I think if like your target demographic is people that are like your age or older and you're in your 30s, it's like a lot of those people aren't, you know, they're not, it's like, what's the hot new social media? TikTok. I don't know anybody with a fucking TikTok page except for like I do have a couple friends with TikToks that have no fucking business being on TikTok. You are fucking creeps, all of you. Shit's for children. Whatever. Maybe that's just me. That's the beer talking. I'm sorry. Do what you want to do.
Get off my lawn.
Life is
Damn whippersnapper.
life is short. If you want to spend it around a bunch of 13-year-olds dancing on the phone, that's up to you. That's all TikTok is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Seems to be, yeah.
Are you thankful that wasn't necessarily the way you grew up too?
I mean, like, there's photos of me wearing jeans that are about as wide as the circumference
Hey,
of
listen,
this table.
We all
so
took
like,
Jenko back.
you know, like
Jenko back.
we
All
did
right?
we did I did equally as dumb shit. I'm sure I would have been just as embarrassing in my own ways had those tools been around when I was that age.
Thankfully they weren't. Like, you maybe had a...
I'm not saying I wouldn't have. I'm just saying I'm thankful that they weren't. I'm thankful the cell phone wasn't
Okay,
a big thing.
before Instagram,
Social media wasn't. as a
Before
kid.
Instagram, you had to like take a photo, and then you would take it somewhere, and they would make it into a thing.
Shout outs
Give
to
it to
Farmore.
Yeah. So one day, when in your basement, our friend Jeff, who we call Vern for no discernible reason, it's not his middle name or anything, we just call him Vern. Vern's sleeping on the couch in your basement one day, and we antiqued him. Really, you know when you take flour like did in the CKY
Oh, I
videos?
remember this. Yeah.
And spiked him in the face with it, and he didn't move, and he face covered in flour. He was still just passed out. So we didn't. There was no iPhones or even flip phones. We didn't have a camera, so we drove to the store from your house, went to County Market, bought a disposable camera, and drove back to his house and took a photo before he woke up. And then we're like, "Wake up, dude!" And then we had to go through the rest of that roll of film so that we could get that picture developed. Where that picture is, I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure I still have it somewhere.
But then you have to wait a whole hour.
We
for
need to find it and make it an album cover.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, it's easy to romanticize the old days. I remember like in my high school days, we ran through a lot of disposable cameras taking pictures of graffiti that we did.
Oh yeah.
And it would
Criminal offenses that you documented.
Oh yeah. Like these fucking 15-year-old kids that look like I don't know. We look like we fucking fell out of a Ninja Turtles cartoon or something. Like the fuck. And yeah, we look like Ninja Turtles villains, basically. And I feel like that's the look that we had.
Foot Clan.
Yeah, like in like Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, just take our things there to get it developed, and then like you walk across the parking lot and go to like National Record Mart. Check out the new metal releases.
Man.
Go over to Funko Land, see if anybody traded in any sweet Super Nintendo games. Like, these are the days.
Man, I
Things
I
are so
miss,
different
like,
now.
I miss actually going to record stores and like
Yeah.
music stores and actually like flipping through and just like I would spend hours just flipping through CDs. And then like
some left.
there'd be like the old like the dude that worked there that was like, all right, whatever he says, I'll trust that. Like that's all. I can't look anything up. Like whatever this guy, if he recommends it, if you're on the fence on something, you just ask the guy. He's like, yeah, that's good. Or like, and they're like, okay, cool, I'll take it. Kill them all. Sounds good.
Yeah, I had a few of those in my day. People that would recommend different releases and stuff to me, but like it was so fun because like even if there wasn't anybody there to recommend releases, it was like acknowledging like record labels and like, oh, okay, like this band that I like is on Nuclear Blast, so I bet I like this other band. Or like I see like, oh shit, Ross Robinson produced this, I don't like, I'll check this out. What is Slipknot? And then it's like, oh fuck, yeah, that was a beautiful time in my life. What is Slipknot? And then like, oh,
That's Slipknot.
oh. I remember the first time I heard the first Slipknot album. It was like one of the most rad, intense things I had ever heard. I remember calling my friend Mike. He was on vacation with his family, but I left a voicemail on their house phone, and I was like, dude, I got this CD. This band called Slipknot. Whenever you get home, you have to hear this.
That's amazing. I couldn't even imagine doing
Times have changed. Times have changed.
Voicemail, leaving it on their answering machine that is for the whole house. That's amazing.
Yeah, now you just right click and you're like forward to,
Yeah.
and then you like find your friend and you're done.
Oh yeah,
Do
yeah.
that anymore.
Or just share it to anybody who can see it. I mean, that was Rage Against the Machine. My brother bought Evil Empire. He would give me rides home from school. He was 4 years older.
Not
when he
too
was
school though, huh?
No,
weren't that cool.
yeah, to and from school. No, he made me walk. I had to walk along while he drove and taunted me.
Uphill?
Uphill both ways. I did actually walk to school in elementary school uphill both ways, but that's another story. No, that was Rage Against the Machine was that for me. There was he would give me rides home from school, and I was in 7th grade, and Evil Empire had just come out, and he stopped at Ames on our way home. Which we never stopped anywhere. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, hold on. He's like, come in. So we go into Ames and he just walks straight back and gets it. Like knew what he was looking for. We were in and out. I'm like, what is this? Puts it in and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And then by the time it got to Vietnam, I was just like,
Oh, it was
completely
Evil
sold.
Empire? I didn't know if it was
Yeah.
self-titled
Yeah.
Evil Empire.
No, it was Evil Empire. And so I was like, by the time Vietnam came on, I was like sold. I'm like, he just said the F word like 40 times. I've never heard somebody so angry. I didn't know you could be because before that I was listening to like Billy Joel and
Oh, sure.
Steely
Hey.
Dan. I love that shit and I still love it and always will.
Funny enough, I still haven't heard anyone ever as angry as Zach De La Renta.
Yeah, that's true. He hit the ceiling pretty much. But that, yeah, I changed like the entire course of my life. Honestly,
Sure.
it was just like this. I want that. I want whatever they're doing
Yeah, it's great energy, great sounding record. All the
without the rapping. I'm not a rapper though.
yeah.
But all the other shit, the riffs and the rhythms and all that, man.
Yeah, no, I love the way that they recorded that album. It's very simple and bare bones. Like you have guitar and bass isolated in their own ears, drum, center vocals. It's very simple, stripped down, but it sounds so fucking full,
Yeah.
so good. I have like an original pressing of that record, and it's the best record it's the best sounding record that I own.
Yeah.
I own a lot of records.
believe
That is the best sounding record that I own.
I love it. And they recorded all this stuff like pretty much live track. I mean, there's obviously overdubbing in some of the spots, but like I heard an interview with Brad Wilk. He said he never played to a click track on any Rage Against the Machine none of it was to a click track. Like the first one at Sound City, they were just like, they were trying for a few, I don't know. He said a couple of days and he just couldn't get it. And they're like, all right, fuck it. Just invite a bunch of your friends down here. And we're just going to have you guys play a live show basically. And we're going to record it. And that's what that album is. Like their first album. They did a pretty similar thing without like the party aspect of it. Cause by that point it was like, okay, you guys are kind of going to run the show now. They were like going to be one of the biggest bands in the world in that record job. So they kind of, got their shit together.
Yeah,
but they never did it to click. They all live tracked everything. And like you said, it's like, it's all just like half the time it's like, what instrument is this? Oh, it's his guitar still? Holy shit. Like, isn't there even a disclaimer in it? It's like at the, like,
All
somewhere
noises
it's
were
like-
produced by drum. It's like drums, vocals, bass.
and there's so many, there's so many
guitar.
weird effects that you're like kind of
The DJ
confused
scratch,
by,
like the DJ scratch.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he does use Allen wrenches and whammy pedals and all kinds of effects. But yeah, it's all guitar. It's no computers, no anything. It's
I
pretty
watched
sweet.
Nils Klein play slide with a crescent wrench. The guy from Wilco, I literally watched him play slide with a crescent wrench. And it made me think of Tom
where'd it
Morello.
come from?
He just had it on top of his amp.
Oh, he
and
just had- that's
playing-
that's his slide.
He was
or-
just like, I don't know what for specifically if it was for that song, but like, yeah, I saw him literally like in real life, like 35 feet away. And I didn't even know who Wilco was at the time, but I'm like, that guy is playing slide with a crescent wrench. And it was kind of like watching Tom Morello whenever you hear that song and then you see him actually doing the, like the DJ record scratch thing, like on his guitar. And it's like, holy shit. Like that's real. Like this dude's doing this.
Yeah.
Those were definitely like, that was awesome to like know that somebody's doing that. And it wasn't just some bullshit, amalgamation of studio tricks to make that happen.
Yeah, he's like one of, I think, like the most unique, innovative guitar players like ever to exist. Honestly, Tom Morello, he's the man.
He's a fucking lame now.
He's what?
He's a lame now.
Why?
All the music that he puts out sucks.
Oh, I like what?
I guess
like
he's
Prophets
happy
of
with
Rage
that.
or-
Huge pile of
No,
cash.
he like put out like a solo record.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know he had a.
And it's like all these like guest musicians and stuff, and it's just like dog shit.
doesn't have, so it
Prophets of
doesn't have
Rage
bone
is pretty
crushing.
sweet though. Did you
There's-
listen to Prophets of Rage?
No,
at
I
all?
didn't listen to
Yeah, that
that.
was good.
It's pretty much Public Enemy, Cypress Hill, and Rage Against the
Okay.
Machine without Zach De La Roca. It's pretty sweet.
I think that like there's a thing where I totally get it, and I don't mean to talk or throw shade at Tom Morello. Like he did a lot of cool stuff, but I get it. It's just like you age, you have money,
Yeah.
like all the anger is kind of gone,
yeah.
and it's just like
The bone.
there's not
crushing riffs
necessarily
right there.
this like maybe there isn't so much a drive to innovate, but maybe a drive to just kind of write more basic rock songs, and that's cool. That's cool, but it's just like not what I want out
Yeah.
of
Yeah, when he
of Tom
started
Morello.
playing he went on tour with Bruce Springsteen as his guitar player.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He was on one of his records or something. I thought that was a little unusual. I didn't listen to it, but that did kind of signal. I was like,
It's just weird, but I mean, like, also, it's like, what would be weirder if he was still like, acting like, a 21-year-old or whatever, or acting like an adult. It's like, well, you're an adult. I get it. You grow up. Tastes change. Things happen.
It's a lot harder to be angsty when you're 40.
Oh yeah, and a millionaire.
You're just bitter at that point.
multiple millionaires.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to be angry. So, February 15th, Kativo, right?
Be
Yes.
there, be square.
That's the deal.
That's it. Yeah.
Yar.
Free
Anything
swag.
anything else coming out that we should know about?
I
Will
think we're-
the song will be available
yeah, the
online
song
that day
will
as well?
be it's going to be. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to try and get it set up so it's going to be on that day, but it might be even earlier. So keep looking up for like Spotify.
You can schedule days.
Yeah, I know. I just haven't gone through and actually done it yet.
You mean you
We
have
just
to?
got
There's
we
peek
just got
behind
these
the
songs
curtain,
mastered on Monday.
Yeah,
We don't have a management team. I got to do this shit on my own.
We literally finished mastering them on Wednesday.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Wednesday, not even Monday.
So it'll be up. It'll be on Spotify and iTunes.
Cool.
And, I think CD Baby and all that stuff.
Drop them social media links real quick. Where can people find you?
STK Pittsburgh on Instagram and Twitter.
Facebook's Pittsburgh PGH Stone Cold Killer.
We got a YouTube channel too. You can check that out.
Bandcamp.
It's basically just dumb cell phone videos.
Western Union, we're just still listed over in Arlington, so you can just send a pony to there.
No, we do have two big Yins and Roses
Carrier
shows coming
Pigeons.
up, though. We got one at the Craft House on March 3rd. We're playing with, correct me, Nate.
Steel City Crew.
Steel City Crew, which is a
No,
sick,
that's we're playing with Say Ah.
yeah, Say Ah,
Who's Poison tribute.
who's also
and,
sick.
and Steel City Crew, right?
No, that's in July.
That's
and then we got
Jurgles
another
in
one
July.
coming up in Jurgles in July, where we're playing with Steel City Crew and Muscle of Love, who's Curtis's other tribute band he's in.
All right.
It's an Alice Cooper
tribute
Alice
band.
Cooper tribute band that I'm in as well.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm a music whore. So, what am I gonna say?
Hey, fuck it. And that's going to be it, my friends. And that is all, folks.
Wrap.
Thanks so much for being here, Stone Cold Killer.
Thanks,
Let's cheers, boys. What a pleasure. I'll be back again in a couple days with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sykes. Start the beat 2020. Woo woo. Thanks for listening, and we are done.